Hello, everyone. Welcome to the August 30th version of the Zooch and Wilde podcast recording on Tuesday. So, unfortunately, won't be able to cover the Colorado game. But Zooch, I, it is back. We are so back. We had Oasis is reunited again, and we are reunited with college football. Couldn't be more of a better week. I get two of my favorite things: alt rock and college football this week.
So are they doing an American tour? We gotta
Uh, so no, but I hope not because um like me and you are both we like to look at the gambling, we dabble a bit, but if there was a line set on shows, I think they announced 14 shows, the Gallagher brothers. I would say that's like what'd you say the line would be 3.5 before they start arguing again and cancel everything and don't talk to
be
each other for like 10 years again. So, yeah, Oasis is back. College football is back. We have week 1 coming up, but before we talk about week 1 and we're going to finally talk about our college football playoff predictions. We've held it off for you guys. We're going to finally get to go a deep dive into who we think is going to make the college football playoff this year. But before we can talk about that, we need to talk about what essentially was the funniest outcome of week 0, and it was DJU and his performance in Florida State losing to Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. There was just so much funny about this week. First, you had Pat McAfee just getting absolutely cheesed at a pub on a show before the week. You had announcers drinking Guinnesses calling the games. I think you had Georgia Tech who had less than 15 drives the whole game. And then you just had Florida State who claimed they had the best D line in the country and was just looking like Swiss cheese out there.
Yeah, it's not so I actually knew a couple people who went to the game,
Really?
and it was funny to see, like, just their roller coaster of emotions. It was like, "Oh, we just had a tailgate at a castle. This is the coolest thing I've ever experienced," to, "Oh, DJU is 9 of 10 for 4 yards. This isn't."
That line's so crazy. Like the 12 for 14 with a negative pass yards in the air. That's almost impossible to do.
We could do I like, seri I texted it in the group chat. Legitimately, we could do that. Like, that was
That is if you ran nothing but jet like touch passes and completed like one 5 to 7 yard pass, you would be above that,
yeah,
which was
but
crazy. I mean, good credit to Georgia Tech. I mean, I don't know about you, Zuch, but when I watched this game, Georgia Tech's offensive line, and we gave Hayes King. Actually, we both gave Georgia Tech a lot of not shit, but a lot of said. We both pretty much said in our ACC preview, like this has potential. Hayes King is super raw, but this team might be a few years away. Um, they kind of looked like how I thought they were going to look next year, where they're running the football. That offensive line looks good. Haynes King looks like an effective runner. There's still some stuff I'm worried about, but I'll tell you what, man, they look like they are playing as a unit and they were not intimidated by the moment. It was like one team was intimidated by the moment and one team was not intimidated by the moment playing with nothing to lose, and that was Georgia Tech.
yeah, I mean, they really when you think about, like, the game plan, and I hate how now every time you get on Twitter during football, you see all these people talking about, like, the script. Like, there's
Yeah,
just, like I'm sorry, a script can get torn up, like, on the first. You know what you don't script for is or you do script, I guess, to go down the field in, like, 10 plays and score, and then after that, you're probably not thinking, "Oh, we're only gonna get 6 drives the rest of the game because Florida State had
mhm.
7, Georgia Tech had 7. So with that, I think Florida State does deserve a little bit of the hate they're getting. I don't think they should panic just yet
Oh,
because,
not at all.
like, if you really look into it, yeah, that's an issue that either they don't trust the receivers, or they don't trust DJU to make plays. One of those 2
100%.
was not trusted.
And the thing about DJU is that, and oh my gosh, was it Jesse Palmer? I thought made a great point in the game. He was like, you see some throws and you go, this guy is an NFL round one prospect. And then the literally like it's the play that he showed uh, versus Oregon, and then the play versus Oregon later in the game, and it's the same exact rollout pass, same exact blitzer that comes off the edge. and he makes the throw the first time and misses the exact same throw the second time, like exact same play almost. And that's the thing. He just kept bringing up the inconsistency, and that's what Florida State has to fix. And that defense, do you think? And this is what I'll say about the Florida State defense. There, and you know this. There was a lot of hype coming out of camp about this D line. I think that was almost like, in my opinion, it was the coaches and the media trying to get these D linemen to believe in themselves more. Because even I found it hard to believe that you can be as good as you were last year, and you literally lost a round 1 and a round 2 pick. Like, literally, a top 25 draft pick was on your D line last year in Verse, and you replaced him with solid guys, but maybe guys who are a little while away from being that kind of caliber of talent.
Oh, yeah, for sure, and, like, they lost their starting quarterback, and they lost a lot of pieces. So that's why I was, like, kinda saying, like, "Don't panic just yet." I think that it's almost impossible not to have high hopes when like, Florida State is a great like, maybe they're not on Alabama and Georgia and Ohio State
Mhm.
level right now,
Yeah,
but they are a pretty good they're
yeah.
a top tier level program. So if you go 12-1, we all know how
They're a
last
big
season
brand. College
yeah,
football's better when Florida State's better.
they get good recruits. They have, for the most part, been good for the last 50 or so years, however long Bobby Bowden was there. Jimbo Fisher won a title. Mike Norvell has done relatively well, although I did see a stat that he's like something like
Oh,
19
he
and
just beats
4.
up on non-ranked teams. Yeah, he beats up
Yeah,
on
and he's
non-ranked
like
teams.
was really good with Jordan Travis, and without Jordan Travis, he's not as good, which
Uh, uh-oh. Well, only time will tell. I do love, though, Kirk Herbstreit just essentially just hit a kill shot on Twitter. Did you see that? Herbstreit taking total it was, now Florida State fans also needed to relax. So some of the bloodline memes were getting out of hand. The
how so?
bloodline memes on Twitter needed to stop, okay? DJU, let's just give him a full season before we start saying he needs to tag up with Jacob Fatu. Okay, please, please,
Some of
everyone.
the best one by far, and I don't know if I sent it to you because I saw it and started laughing and accidentally scrolled on my phone and it went away, was TJU won't be good until this man is in his corner, and it was Paul Heyman. Needs to fly.
Oh my gosh, honestly, FSU's got the they have enough NIL where I feel like they could get like Paul Heyman like leading the chop down there at Doak Campbell. But yeah, the Florida State, nothing to panic about, but great job to Georgia Tech. They proved me and everyone but Sheamus wrong. Speaking of, it was just a WWE weekend. Only Sheamus got it correct. Just a wild, just a wild guest picker to have on game day. But that was only just a little bit of the week 0. Just I say tomfoolery, uh, just bullshit. It was just some funny stuff. We had a wind delay in the Montana State game, and we had a New Mexico team with. We needed to do who's coaching where. Totally forgot Bronco Mendenhall was the coach at New
We did. He
Mexico.
helped drop legitimately one of the nastiest plays I've ever seen, which is that
The
like the
quarterback
quarterback
sneak.
like turned
Yeah,
around and held the ball like this. And I was like,
yeah.
thank you. I was like, damn, like, what if that dude just got hit? Like someone just destroyed him. But then I read more about it and he was looking up at the scoreboard, which is actually really smart to like
Oh,
figure out where the other guys were going. That play was perfection. New Mexico does
no,
not do a
yeah.
lot of things well.
But
That was
for the
one.
New Mexico, I mean, last thing I'll say about this game is like I thought New Mexico was gonna like I thought they were different, and then New Mexico they just they stalled. Same old New Mexico came out, and Montana State willed their way back into their game. I will say, quarterback for Montana State looked like he couldn't hit water if it came out of a boat. Is he that he was a running back essentially that Montana State QB, but they look fine. And then you get to the SMU game, and it's like people are getting ejected for spitting. It's like snowing in Reno. It was like 50 degrees at kickoff in August. Like
Preston
SMU, I will
Stone, like,
say
had 4
honestly,
passes.
yeah, and they're running like, I
That
thought
was bold.
Preston Stone was like a top he's a 91 overall in the new NCAA game, supposed to be one of the top QBs in the country, and they're running like a double QB system. I don't know, I think a lot of the SMU hype train has died. And I think it's because I'm gonna hold off on some opinions I have on SMU because if they prove me right, I have some things to say about SMU. But super funny explaining Rich Choate to my friends at the bar, to people who didn't know about Rich Choate. So that was also really awesome. Anything else that you took away like from Nevada except for just like Rich Choate, like this is him, and then they just like had the worst safety of all time running shotgun from the one.
Yeah, it was just it was all of it was such a week 0 thing, like, the one of the funnier parts was when the dude there went for the fair catch, so he'd go to the 25 and dropped it, so it's like that, like, basically lost the game for Nevada. He, like,
Yeah.
fair went to fair catch it, dropped it at the 1, they get safetied, and it was just I don't think they scored again
No.
after
No, they
that,
did
so
not. No, they did not. No, but it
maybe
it
hopefully
was it
they'll
was a
be a little
funny
bit better because
weekend.
they were bad the past couple of years. Very, very
No,
bad.
that's what I was saying. We actually had some good games. It was, like, really, really cool to have some good games. I unfortunately wasn't able to watch the Hawaii-Delaware State game, but, it wasn't even on national TV, which kinda pissed me off. But moving on to something we have been holding off and wanting to get into for a while, it is our playoff predictions. Zooch, the 12-team playoff is here. As you know, this is completely new this year. I personally, as I was digging deeper into the setup, do like how the conference champions are 1 through 4, no matter what. I still think it keeps a little bit of resemblance of winning your conference matters. Remember, that was something that you brought up last year when this thing was first announced, or 2 years ago, and you said what is the point of playing in the conference championship game if you just lose and then you can fall back further? So I think the 1 through 4 being a conference champion, no matter what, kind of eliminates that hypothetical problem.
Yeah. Yeah,
Uh,
I'm excited for it. I'm mostly excited to see, like, those, I don't know, like, 9, 10, and 11 teams, and we'll include
yeah,
12 because there's just gonna be, like, pissed off, like, 9 and 3 fan bases that
yeah.
will
Oh,
it'll
I
be
love
like
it.
when in, like, politics when people are arguing one side or the other and they refuse to acknowledge any of the stuff that is wrong with their argument. That's what it's
Yeah,
gonna be like. It's gonna be like, "Well, we went 9 and 3 and beat Alabama."
it's like when
Not
you
gonna
lost
mention,
to
though, that you lost to
Kentucky.
Vanderbilt.
Yeah, no, yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. They no one else they can't do any wrong, and everyone else is wrong. But the way we're gonna do this is me and Zuch are just gonna go bar for bar and give our just 1 through 12 down the hatch. Um, Zuch, I'm gonna give you the honors, and let us kick it off with you. Who do you think is going to be your number 1 team at the end of this year or the end of the regular season?
Number 1, not gonna give records or anything like that. Number 1 overall, the Oregon Ducks.
Oregon Ducks, and what is the reasoning behind that? Because I have a different number 1.
'Kay. I have them playing Ohio State or no, actually, I don't have them playing Ohio State in the, uh, Pac-12 Pac-12, Big, 10 championship.
Hey, shout out.
Uh,
That was the ghost of Bill Walton taking over for a
so
second.
cool. But I do have them beating Ohio State. That was the main reason. Had it between those 2 of who was gonna be in the conference title game and probably winning it.
Mhm.
Have them beating Ohio State. Not necessarily going undefeated, but I think that they will win the Big Ten and have less losses than the SEC champion. I think SEC conference is
Mm,
tougher. So I think they will have that big win, probably have 1 loss from looking at their schedule, be number 1 overall.
awesome. I have around um, the same thought process, but different outcome. I have the Ohio State Buckeyes as my number 1 team. I think they beat Oregon in the Big 10 championship game. I think Will Howard is okay enough. I just think there's too much talent on that defense, skill positions for them. I think they're the number 1 team, winners of the Big 10. For my second seed, so the number 2 team, I think that's going to happen after conference championship weekend is going to be the Georgia Bulldogs. I think that they get back on track. I think while Carson Beck, you know, his Snapchat stories sketch me out. I don't think uh, look, trust me, we're gonna do Heisman picks later, and that was taken into consideration. Trust me. Um, but I think Georgia comes out. I think Kirby Smart has these guys pissed off and ready to play. I think Kirby Smart is pissed off. He's had to put up with a lot of, I would say, deserved BS in the offseason with a lot of the drama. And they also didn't even make the playoff last year. So I got the Georgia Bulldogs as my number two team.
Same exact team, number 2. I think Georgia will not necessarily go undefeated. I think they might even have a couple losses, to be honest. They have a very, very like, an extremely hard schedule. There's not many
They
off
do.
weeks for that team, and I don't think at any point in the year they're gonna get killed by someone unless it's like a just catastrophe and everything goes wrong, but that really has not happened for them, and, like,
It
that was
hasn't.
kind of old Georgia where I'd be like, "Oh, they're, like, looking" like, really the last time I remember that happening was that, when they put the
It
year
took
they
him.
won the national title, but they lost to Alabama in the SEC
Yeah.
title, like 41-20 or something like that.
Yeah.
So and that was gonna be, I think, 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, so might have a couple losses, I think they'll be close. It was very hard for me with 1 and 2 picking. I
It was
just
hard for me too. It was hard for me too. I just lean more Ohio State because I think that Georgia, as they have a tougher schedule, they're going to be playing more closer games. I just think the way that things are going to shake out, I think Ohio State's is going to be preseason number one and kind of just not lose that spot. My number three team is going to surprise some people. It is my ACC champion. It's who I picked It's who I picked to win the ACC on our ACC preview, and it is going to be the Clemson Tigers. I I don't know what to think in the ACC because I don't believe in Miami and I don't believe really in Florida State. So I have the Clemson Tigers. I think Dabo is able to give middle fingers. They're the only team besides a service academy that didn't pick up a transfer. That's not a grad transfer. So no undergraduate transfers for Clemson. I think their defense is still going to be really good. And like I predicted, I think they have a couple freshman wide receivers. I forget his name, but there's a freshman wide receiver that I think is going to be at the end of everyone's like 2027 must draft list in 3 years. So I got Clemson at number three.
Clemson at number 3, okay. Like that pick. I've n Clemson has never really fallen out of favor with me. I know that they've, quote, unquote, "looked rough" the past couple years because they aren't in the
Although,
national
did you see
championship.
Dabo Sweeney sad, no longer taking live phone calls on his radio show? Tyler from Spartanburg has broken that man. Tyler from Spartanburg broke that man.
He will be sprinting out of the tunnel, though, I guarantee you that.
Oh my
Being
gosh. Could you have you said it best. If they play a home playoff game, and it would bust my bracket because if they get 3, they won't be. But if they're somehow like playing a home playoff game, that man will sprint out of that tunnel at a velocity we have never seen before. At a velocity we have never seen before.
so I was and then I'll get to my pick, but at work, I just have been because there's nothing on TV, so, like, the YouTube is on the TV, and it's just, like, rotating through games, and that game came up from, like, a decade or so ago where they played West Virginia in the Orange Bowl and lost,
Oh
like,
yeah.
70-30.
Yep, the
His
Geno Smith team,
facial
yeah.
reactions that whole time were just priceless. Like, you would have never thought, "Oh, this team is about to kinda be a dynasty in 4 or
Yeah.
5 years behind Dabo Swinney." Yes, they're down 63-30 to West Virginia in the 3rd
Dana
quarter.
Holmgren said. Yeah.
Yeah. But you said you don't believe them for number 3? You don't believe in them, I should say. I'm going the U
The U.
at number
The
3.
U making Trick Daddy proud.
Making Trick Daddy proud. They need to, like I said about Miami before, the more trouble they get into, the better they are. They need to like, maybe revitalize, 7th floor crew, stuff like
Yeah.
that. Wear some camo fatigues off the plane, that sort of
Yes.
thing. But I like Mario Cristobal. It's it's like the weirdest thing ever, and I was thinking about this with him. I wonder because I did have Oregon at number 1, but if Oregon were to it's weird that Oregon is, like, so highly, like, proclaimed, and their last 2 coaches have left to go to the ACC, like, to Florida State
Yeah,
in my opinion. Like, it's they're,
yeah.
like and I mean, I don't include Chip Kelly really in that because he went to the NFL. To me, that's a the NFL is bigger than college football. I don't like the NFL more, but I'm not stupid. I
Mhm.
realize the NFL is king. So that I get more, but I Dan Lanning, I mean, I
No,
think he'll stay there, but I do
I will
like,
say
that's
Oregon has been anointed, and it's for someone who, like, you have Oregon up there, that scares me, and they've just kinda been, I think, and I know a broken record, a lot of people have talked about this, they've just kinda been anointed, in my opinion, but they
yeah.
have a loaded team this year, and they're gonna show up later in my rankings, but before that, I got the number 4 team, and your number 4 team is also gonna be the Big 12 champ. I believe the Big 12 champ is gonna be Avery Johnson and the Kansas State Wildcats at number 4. I think that they have, like, a gritty, bullshit ass season, 9-3, something stupid like that, get into a 4 seed, just be a tough out. I think Avery Johnson looks really good. I was listening to, Andy Staples, and he believes that he hasn't seen a quarterback this fast since Kyler Murray, which is a bold thing to say. Really bold thing to say. Now, is his throwing as good as Kyler Murray, who was a pro baseball prospect as well? We'll see. But I think Kansas State is just gonna be that gritty team, sneaks into the Big 12 championship and wins.
I like that pick. This was the hardest conference for me to pick by far, which kinda like you, I really think that every team in that conference might have, like, 3 not every team, but the top teams will have, like, at least 2, maybe 3
There's
losses.
like 5 teams. Like I remember we counted our Big 12 preview. There's legit 6 to 7 teams that have legitimate claims at the Big 12
Yeah, like,
throne.
it is going to eat itself alive, and it's gonna be, like, fantastic to watch. It's
Mhm.
like, people have said it's gonna be the most fun conference. I have to agree because, that Saturday 1:30 ABC slot is gonna be immaculate with, one team might be 4-3 playing a 7-1 team, and it's gonna be great. However, I'm going same state. This is a risky pick, but I'm going the Kansas Jayhawks to be the 4 seed.
Lance
And
Leopold, big time.
and it's not,
Jayhawk up.
it's I mean, it just comes back to like we said, like, I honestly think that I was like it's almost like throwing a dart and not seeing where it lands. I have
No,
no idea who's
100%.
gonna win that
100
conference.
100%. All right. All right, and now is when it officially gets hard. Conference winners 1 through 4, of course, get buys. We got 5 through 12 now. This is the Wild West, so let's just get into it. My number 5 team is, and I have a scenario for this, the Alabama Crimson Tide, who
Ooh,
will not make the SEC championship, but will get in over who I think is gonna be the SEC runner-up. I
okay.
got the Alabama Crimson Tide. I don't find, and I know Alabama could be bad and people have shit on them because Saban's leaving. Kalen DeBoer has won everywhere he's been.
Yep.
Tommy Reese got better throughout the season calling plays. Jalen Milrow got better throughout the season and was, remember, a true sophomore last year. I think this team gets better. I think Kalen DeBoer's won everywhere he's at. I just don't think he's good enough to beat Georgia yet. So I have Alabama, number 5.
Alabama number 5. I'm also going SEC with my number 5 pick, and I'm also going the same team. I think Alabama. I think Alabama fatigue is still real, but don't I just don't think they're going anywhere. I mean, it could just eat Kalen DeBoer alive. We've seen that happen to coaches before. They go to a program like
Mhm.
that, and it is so much that
Yeah.
they, like, kinda start
I
second
mean, we've
guessing
seen it with,
themselves.
saw it with Brady Hoke, great West Virginia coach, went to Michigan, eats you alive. Honestly, we saw it with, Charlie Weis at Notre Dame, eats you alive. Like, so,
Yes, I mean,
like you
some
said,
coaches, like, get back into coaching the next year, others start tweeting political memes all the time and
Hey, he needs
well,
okay, maybe a certain ex-coach by whose name rhymes with Mayan Marson. I'm not naming any names, but his name rhymes with Mayan Marson. You need to turn on the quote tweets and comments. You need to sti I am okay. People have their political differences. I am okay with you tweeting about your politics. Have to be a man and leave the quote tweets and comments on. Have to do it.
you went to
No matter
Auburn,
what you believe.
yeah, exactly. This man who remains nameless, coached at a certain SEC school that might have 2 mascots for whatever stupid reason they'd choose to do that for, and you gotta deal with it now. You skipped out on Bo Jackson's charity golf event, you were very bad, and now
Like we said, this is a nameless coach. Totally hypothetical, this guy. Oh my
we'll move
god.
on, but yes.
Let's hope he doesn't find this video or else he's gonna tweet us in the morning about, like, some motivational thing about haters. Let's move on to the number 6 team. I have my Big Ten runner-up. I have the Oregon Ducks. I think they are the second best team in the Big Ten. I think I said Big 12. Second best team in the Big Ten. I think Oregon slides perfectly into that number 6 spot after losing to Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
Okay. My number 16, and it's gonna be because they lose the SEC championship game, and it's gonna ugh, this one, like, this is where it gets so hard because I just don't know how they're gonna rank these teams. Because my number 7 team, I'll just get it out of the way. My number 7 team is Ohio State. So I have them losing
Mm.
to Oregon. It would or no, yes, losing to Oregon, sorry, but not in the Big Ten championship game for reasons I'll get into
Ah,
in a little bit. Number 6 team, I'm going Ole Miss.
Ole
I
Miss.
think I think with how their schedule plays out, I think they could get through the regular season with 1 loss. Probably gonna be 2, but I think it could be 1. I think that game they play Georgia in Oxford. I think they can win that game, but replaying them, I don't know that they would win that second time around. I think that you would they could win it, but, like, I mean, I'll put it I think they split with Georgia. So,
Okay, that makes sense.
I Ole Miss, Georgia, SEC championship game. Winner's gonna
Yep,
be the, number 2 seed, loser, 6 seed.
perfect. No, I mean, makes sense whether I agree or disagree. Like the logic is there. They got a talented team this year. My number 7 team is something I called out last week. I think the Notre Dame Fighting Irish will be the 7th best team in the country. Not because they are the actual 7th best team in the country. I just know how voters vote, and I know how this schedule looks for Notre Dame. And if they can beat the 2 good teams on this schedule, they're gonna only lose 1 or 2 games. And I think a one-loss Notre Dame gets in at a 7, no lower than a 10. I have them at 7. I think they only drop 1 or 2 games. I think Marcus Freeman, now maybe it's because every time he talks, I wanna run through a brick wall because that guy's a motivational genius, and I'm enamored, with, the way he's able to communicate. He's like the most I mean this in the best way, Notre Dame fans. He's like the most Notre Dame man of all time in a
Yeah.
good way, if that makes sense. He doesn't talk like one of these like fart sniffing dorks. Sorry, again, Notre Dame fans, don't take anything personal, but he doesn't seem like a fart sniffing dork. So I got Notre Dame at 7. Zooch.
7? Like I said, I have Ohio State at 7. I do not think they're going to be in the Big Ten championship game.
Huh.
I think they're gonna have a couple losses. I know they have a lot of hype. They spent $6 billion in NIL money on this team. It's a big year. I still question a little bit how Ryan Day does with big game moments. I think we have
Yeah.
enough of a track record now to be like, huh, like you're not the best when it comes to these. He is James Franklin with hair. I'll just get out of the way. That's kind of what I
Whoa. Those are fighting words. Dude, Buckeye Fett is gonna come after you now. Also,
He is.
if anyone on Twitter has run into Buckeye Fett, I'm sorry for you because I've also run into Buckeye Fett, and it's one of the worst accounts online. I'll just say that right now. But, Zooch, as you were saying about Ryan Day, James Franklin with hair?
That's I mean, he I just was, like, looking back today at different games, and, like, they blew the game against Clemson when, uh, Justin
Oh, the
Fields was
Justin Fields. Yes.
that game. They have gotten killed by Michigan the last 3 years. They got killed by Alabama in the COVID year. They
Yeah,
and that's going back to what this is his he's been there, what, 5 or 6 years now? So
yeah,
it keeps happening, so they are on my list of you now need to prove that you can get in some of these big games and beat somebody other than Penn State because you haven't done it
yep,
lately.
yep. That makes sense with me. Number 8 team for me is the team I have playing in the SEC championship game, but is gonna be ranked behind Alabama, and that is the Missouri Tigers. I I'm, again, dropping it on the table. I was a big hater of Eli Drinkowitz last year. But after looking at their schedule, after seeing who they returned their QB. Eli even came back after throwing his name out there in some bigger SEC and Big Ten jobs. I think Mizzou gets into that 8 seed after, I don't want to say fully getting exposed in the SEC championship game. I think their SEC championship game performance sticks in the voters' mouths more than it should. So I have Mizzou at 8 behind Alabama.
Kazoo at 8, my number 18, and it was after looking like I said, looking at their schedule, seeing how I think things might play out, and this is one of the teams that might come back to bite me in the ass. It might make me look really stupid. However, just hear me out on this. My number 18 is USC.
No, I USC is I have them as a, I mean, they beat LSU, and you're about to see the hype train take off if they
So,
beat
yeah, and
LSU.
that's I was like I said, I looked at their schedule. Yes, they have USC and Notre Dame. USC, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan. That is their 4 hard games, right? Like, if you look at the rest of their schedule, like Wisconsin
Yeah,
might be okay. Some of those other Big Ten teams might be okay. If USC out of those 4 teams beats 2 of them, right, and they're 10 and 2 going into and I have them either losing to Michigan and or Penn State or losing to Notre Dame or LSU. I think they'll win one
okay,
of the other 2.
okay.
If they're 10 and 2, play Oregon in the Big Ten championship game and lose, and 10 and 3, I don't see how they don't get in. That's kind
No,
of my
that makes sense. I mean, Miller Moss has kind of been your Lisa Al-Gaib. He is the chosen one of USC. He literally is the return of USC. He's righty Matt Leinart, who also Matt Leinart, I don't know who does his social media, but he's popping up
he's great.
everywhere. So,
He's great at
whoever
social media.
whatever he's doing for like engagement, it's working. Please give us some tips, Matt Leinart. But no, I don't hate that pick. I really don't. But you might hate this pick. And this is where I start to go off the rails and may start to lose people. I have the Tennessee Volunteers at 9.
I don't
I
hate
think
that. It's
this is I think I see a scenario where 4 SEC teams get in. And I think Tennessee gets at 9 because of the schedule. Tennessee doesn't play Missouri. So they don't come in like the same world of playing, right? So they don't, in that world of trying to get wins, they don't take away from each other. So that's how I have Missouri playing Tennessee in the playoff. I know it's stupid, but I believe in Josh Heupel. Have loved Nico because I don't know how to pronounce his last name yet. I will by next week. Sorry, Tennessee fans. I'm just gonna go Nico I. I've loved him since high school. He's can make every play. He's like a better potential version. He runs that offense just like Hendon Hooker did, not like Moonball Milton did. I think it's going to be a lot more of like the Hendon Hooker offense with a younger, more explosive quarterback. And I think that when you combine with Pierce, their edge rusher, Tennessee is a big dark horse, has more talent than we're giving them credit for.
I don't hate that one. It's like we mentioned earlier, we're getting into the waters where it's kind of looking at team schedules and kinda seeing what you think their record might be and if they get in. So you had
Mhm.
Tennessee at 9, right? That's what we're on, 9?
Yep,
Just double
Tennessee
checking.
at 9.
My number 9 team, along the same lines, I think they've always had talent. They maybe just had a doofus for a head coach, Texas A&M.
Really? You think this is the year that A&M
I
finally
think
gets it?
I think kind of along the same lines you were thinking, like, what, you think Tennessee's gonna be 9 and 3 or so? About
Yeah, 9
their
and 3, 10 and 2. They don't
some
they don't play Missouri, so that's a win that's not stolen from them. So it's like
yeah, it's kinda how I'm like, 12 teams is
A&M and like USC, A&M beats Notre Dame and it's off to the race.
right, like, it's and even if, like, they lose to Notre Dame and lose a couple SEC games, they're 9 and 3, and quite possibly all 3 of their losses are playoff teams, so it's like,
Yeah,
I don't know, like, this is the part of the playoff that I have a clue of who I think will be good, I have no clue of
these last couple
how good
teams.
because they could be Texas A&M could also be 6 and 6, same with USC, same with
Yeah.
basically every team I've named except, like, 3, so
Yeah, no, and that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun this year. That's why I love this 12 team. My number 10 team, who I think is going to be number 10. I don't know why I just repeated myself, but I think it's going to be the Big 12 runner up. It's going to be the 10 seed Arizona Wildcats. I think this is a pick that, in my hypothetical, is going to piss a lot of people off because I think it's going to be like a three-loss Arizona that barely beats teams, maybe gets exposes, but makes it to the Big 12 championship. So they have that on them, and their offense looks really, really good, but they have some gaps. But I have Arizona at 10. Really love Brent Brennan. We've talked about it. Don't know how he stayed at San Jose State for so long. He could have got a job right after post COVID. Brent Brennan, I think the rest of the country is going to find out about Brent Brennan this year and could become, and I don't want to say this about Arizona. I think he is a loyal guy, but I think after this year, there will be big programs knocking on Brent Brennan's door to have them transform their football teams.
okay, so this is where we're gonna start to differ, I think, a little bit in where we have teams, because I personally don't think they're gonna throw that second Big 12 team in there if they have
Oh,
3 losses. This is where we're gonna get a heavy dose of SEC teams,
oh,
and I just think that is I struggle 10 and 11 because there is one Big 10 team that I thought might get in, but I just and it might come back to bite me in the ass because 'cause they're probably gonna go 10 and 2 and they'll be in. Hands up, I don't have Penn State in.
no, me
I do
neither.
not
I don't either. Sorry,
I don't
Penn
have Penn
State. I'll
State
see it
in.
when I believe it. I really will. I'll see it when I believe it.
It's I
Believe it
don't
when I
trust
see it. I was saying that backwards. I'll believe it when I see it. Not I'll see it when I believe it. The hell am I
it.
saying?
So, my number 10 team gonna be my 4th SEC team, right?
Mhm.
That had Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss, A&M. Number 10 team, Texas A&M.
You already
Or sorry,
said
yeah,
Texas
sorry,
A&M.
not Texas, Tennessee, sorry. Tennessee.
Tennessee. Dangs. All right, Tennessee. That's bold. I mean, look, if there's 5 SEC teams in the playoff, people are gonna throw a fit. But
I
it
People are
it
lucky I almost put Auburn in here, and I still think Auburn is gonna have 8
that's
wins more.
crazy. No, no, I like Auburn too. I just don't think they got a quarterback this year. Like, that's the thing. I think they're a couple years away with their quarterback, but I don't hate that pick. Like I said, I got Tennessee in my playoff as well. Moving on to 11. So this is the one pick I hate. I hate this pick. I hate this pick. I hate this pick because I don't know who to put. And I was deciding between, do I toss Michigan? Do I toss USC? And my heart tells me USC. My heart really, really does tell me USC. And if you ask me this next week, it could change to a USC or a Michigan, in my opinion. But right now, I still have my ACC runner up, Florida State. Hate that so much, but can still see a scenario where they win the rest of their games, maybe only drop one other ACC game, so they're 10 wins, right? They make the ACC championship, play well, and they just get that BS 11 seed, right? And just get mollywopped by Oregon, a pissed off Oregon team. I can totally see that scenario, and then they're just back to square zero. Florida State overrated, can't win the big one. But
You
that's my
just have
11 seed, and I hate it, and I hate it.
really better hope that at this time next week, Florida State has not lost to Boston College on.
No, like I said, I reserved a right to change my 11 seed to Michigan or USC if Florida State. Yeah, I'm on record. This pick is being changed to Michigan or USC if they lose to Boston College, as well as me ever believing in Florida State ever again, as well as me defending DJU about the bloodline memes. In fact, I might even post a bloodline meme if they lose to Boston College.
Of the BC and
Yes.
Bill O'Brien. You know, Bill O'Brien's
Yes.
just like licking his chops right now. All righty. I guess I'll move on. So, in your estimation, what conference do you think this next team comes from?
I mean, knowing your trend, I know you a little too well. I think you're gonna piss people off and do a Big Ten or SEC team. I think that's where you're leaning towards is a Big Ten SEC team where people want different stuff, but it's just gonna be more the same this year for them. More Big Ten, more SEC. So that's where I'm leaning.
So it is Big Ten, and just here I know this is gonna shock a lot of people.
Don't
But
say it. Don't say don't don't give me that team in Middle America.
they're
Don't
not in
do it.
Middle America.
Oh, thank God.
Same kind of colors, not in Middle America. But I'm gonna read you off the
Oh,
schedule.
no.
I'm gonna read you off the schedule.
Is it
Howard,
gonna be our guy? Oh,
Howard,
no.
Akron, Va Tech, Washington, at Nebraska,
Oh
Wisconsin, UCLA, at USC, Minnesota, Maryland,
my God,
Illinois, at
don't
Michigan
do
State.
it. Don't do it. Although it'd be so awesome because I love this guy. I love this coach so much. He's one of the characters. Give his
Greg
give it to
Schiano,
me.
Rutgers can go 9-3 with that schedule. And I
Oh my God.
cannot put, even though I thought about Missouri, I thought about like a second ACC team, which it probably should be a second ACC team because there'll probably be a 10-2 ACC team. But I mean, that schedule is not, they don't draw Ohio State, Oregon. They get USC at,
I just
they play at USC. I mean, they don't have
look, I love
Michigan in here. Like,
yeah, I love that scenario, but with a schedule that bad that with 2 losses, that's a guaranteed bad loss on there. Like, my heart wants that. That would be so amazing to see. Who would that who would that put Rutgers against? Who would Rutgers play in your scenario?
Rutgers would play at 6.
Your
I
6th
had
seed.
Alabama, right? I believe.
Oh, that'd be so funny. Oh, that'd be so funny. I'd want you already know Greg Schiano would just try some bullshit. Like, you already know first play, he's just telling his, like, will linebacker just, like, "Hey, hit Jalen Milrow as hard as you can in the chest. I don't care about a penalty." Just pulling
It
some,
would
like, pee-wee bullshit like that.
it would, and like I said, I struggle because I just don't know how it's gonna shake out with when these it's gonna be hilarious to watch these teams argue about who should get in, and,
Yeah.
you know,
Alright,
I
that's
it
gonna be
came
funny.
down to I don't know how much I trust second Big 12 team. I don't know how much I trust, especially after Florida State lost, uh, to Georgia Tech, a second, like, I mean, basically, not that they can't lose again, but Florida State really can't lose again in a lot of ways. Like, they
No.
could lose a second one and
No,
win
like
the
I said, I hate
ACC,
that pick
but
so much.
it's just it's hard. It's hard, so
Alright.
I, like, looked at I looked at a bunch of team schedules, and I'm going with Rutgers, number 11.
That's fair.
I might look
That's fair.
really stupid having Texas A&M, Rutgers, even
Dude,
Ole
you're talking to the
Miss.
guy. You You're talking to the guy who's got Clemson winning the ACC and who's gonna play Florida not Florida, Georgia, tomorrow by the time this episode's released, and I just look real stupid. But for my group of 5 team that gets in, I'm gonna keep this short and sweet. Boise State. I think I think Liberty has 1 loss. I think Boise State probably has 2 losses, and I think Memphis has 2 losses. And Boise State just gets the luck of the draw based on name brand and gets that slot in there and has to play dun dun dun, dun Alabama and Tuscaloosa in what will be the fastest heart rate I've ever had watching a football game potentially. So
I just
that
have
would be something.
immediate fear of probably still gonna be the same guy starting quarterback. Maddox Madsen is not being able to see over the line, and a sky splits just putting him 40 feet down
I'm
with Confederate
I'm
soldiers in the
scared of a Bryant Denny Stadium just getting so loud after Maddox m- hasn't really played in anything. He'll play in Oregon, which will have a lot of Boise fans there, though. I'm just so scared of him. We're down 10-0. It's still the first quarter, and he's already doing this with his helmet. I'm just scared of that visual too in this potential situation. But
or,
I
like,
got Boise State.
first quarter, "Oh, like, we have Genty, like, he might be able to help us set up play action." "Oh, well, nope, he has 9 carries for 6 yards, so that's out of the
And
that's
then
out of
they
the
get
realm."
some bullshit like 20-yard play with like Austin Bolt on like a cross route when like a Alabama like DB slips and like it gives us hope. It's like, oh man, we're making a little drive right now. But I got Boise State. I think they got a solid season.
I think so too. They might be the sacrificial lamb, but it's gonna be cool if they make it just to be like, "Hey, we're in the playoffs." I know a lot of Alabama fans back home. I'm gonna be pretending that I think we're gonna win, even though I
Oh,
don't think we're gonna
100%. I
win.
will too. You have to because at that point, Boise State would be all time Maddox Madsen hype and Genty hype. But yeah, so though that's our lists. Also, our brackets are going to be posted onto the Instagram. Give it a like, and also please give us your thoughts because I know a lot of you probably have some thoughts about my
Give it
choices
to
like
us.
Arizona and Clemson. Yeah, but those brackets will be posted. Let us know who you pick too in the comments of that Instagram post. Now, before we end this episode up, we got two quick last things we want to do, and that's we want to quickly touch base on the week 1 games coming up tomorrow. Zooch and I have each selected a game for you to watch that we think is going to be the best game of the week. I'll kick this off. My game of the week 1, is the Sunday standalone game, LSU versus USC. That's the game I'm the most excited for. I think it's going to be a Miller Moss coming out party. I think USC wins that game. I think USC wins that game because I don't believe in the quarterback situation at LSU. And who knows, maybe Garrett Nussmeier is really, really good. I don't think he is yet, or I don't think he's good enough to beat a Miller Moss USC team. I think that people, when they think of USC, think of the bad defense. I think that defense is better, and it's also the game of the week because LSU is always going to have playmakers. So it's going to be a really, really exciting game to watch, in my opinion. Sunday standalone. Wake up with the Sunday scaries after a day of eating a $20 cheeseburger and 8 beers at some local pub or ale house that's overpriced, and just enjoy that Sunday standalone game, guys.
And exactly. Warning to USC, however, do not come out crawling on all fours like you did against
Yes.
Alabama years ago.
Okay, I blame more Max Brown. Sorry, Max Brown. Again, great online. Who's ever doing your engagement, amazing because I get your stuff all the time. But you cannot sorry, you cannot trot out Max Brown and expect to beat Alabama.
That was so fun. Like, looking back, I was like, "Oh, USC might like, they look pumped up for this game, huh?" Okay, well, if it's
Wasn't that the Reuben Foster hit game on the opening kickoff or like something like that? Or like the opening drive where Reuben Foster just kills someone on USC?
right, it's there are so many times looking back, and I'll get to my game of the week because it involves this team, but did you see the Manti Te'o video where he's talking about being, like, the ringleader of Notre Dame, and he's like, "And we were out there, like, we were number 1, so Alabama had to go out first, and they just came by us yelling at us," and he goes, "And I knew it was gonna be a long night." It was, man. I
So
tell you, I had such high hopes for that game, and it turned wayward quickly, very quickly.
fun fact, Granada High School alum George Atkinson returned the opening kickoff.
I love Jordan. I love so many players on that Notre Dame. I loved Everett Golson.
George Atkinson. George Atkinson, who I saw one time, Zooch, score 4 touchdowns in a quarter of high school football at Granada High School when I was like in elementary school. It was so stupid. It was crazy.
That
4 touchdowns in a quarter.
yeah, it the uh high school guys that are, your playmakers are just on such a different level that go to the Notre Dames and
Yeah,
Alabama's. Like, it's insane. But my game of the week, Notre Dame, A&M. I think that
good
is,
one.
and based on my bracket, it's 2 playoff teams. One team with, I mean, A&M always seems to have high expectations these days, but I think they're even higher now that Jimbo Fisher is gone.
Mhm,
Notre Dame, like, I mean, it's a big year for Marcus Freeman. Like, he's done some good things there. They've had some games where you're like, "Oh, what are you doing, man?" Like, and it kind of for him, it's time to, like, they blew that game again. They had no business losing that game to Ohio State last year and blew it.
mhm.
A&M's not Ohio State, but I think Notre Dame needs to go out and get a win, or they don't have the benefit of playing in the SEC like A&M does. And I'm really excited for that game. Top 25 matchup. Almost went with USC LSU, but it is my meme matchup of the week because it is going to
Why
be
so?
hysterical watching a bunch of like, the message boards have been telling LSU fans to act like they have some sense in Las Vegas. Not going to happen. It is
Oh, no, you think they're gonna be flying in today, probably. They probably flew in right when this episode got released Friday morning or Thursday night, and you think it's gonna be a problem. Also, USC, people joke about the West Coast sports being like, "Eh." USC is probably the least school out of all those guys. Like, those guys are passionate. They are LA bros. It's good. It's going to be the LA bros versus the Southern bros. It is going to be Viore shorts and Lululemon polos versus PFG polos and Peter Millar polos.
yeah. But all I'm gonna say to to Allegiant or Mandalay Bay, whoever it is that is in charge of the tunnel that leads, I think it's from, maybe it's MGM Grand. It's one of the two. There's a tunnel that goes from the hotel to Allegiant Stadium.
Mhm.
One fan base at a time. One fan base at
Yeah.
a time. You do not want all hell breaking loose in that tunnel because it might just go off onto the strip, and then you have just a chaos scenario of
Oh my goodness, yes.
gambling and drinking and those
Oh my gosh.
huge margarita things being used as weapons, so you just
Yes. Well, the good thing about USC and LSU is that they both have very distinct colors. So we will easily be able to tell who is winning the war, so to speak. It'll be like a 1700s battle where it's like the red coats versus the blue coats it'll be a very organized manner on the battlefield. But my matchup is a truer meme matchup in the sense for a couple of reasons. It is Sac State versus San Jose State. Now, why is this the mean matchup? Am I going to even watch this game? Yes, you can watch this game on True TV at 7 p.m. This game will be broadcast on True TV. It is super funny. Stingers up, FCS versus San Jose State. I truly believe Sac State could beat San Jose State. Sac State was a playoff team in the FCS last year. San Jose State lost their head coach and some good players. But mainly I'm choosing this because it is literally on True TV. The get in price for this game right now is, oh my gosh, I messed up. This game has already happened by the time of this recording, but it will be my me matchup. In fact, I'll do a little prediction. I think Sac State is going to win on Thursday night.
this would not
And
be
that's
good
my
for
me
the
matchup. This
unless
could be this could be a super funny clip right now. But man, week one's back. Week one's back. We'll have a breakdown next week. I am so excited. I already looked in that Georgia Clemson games then for my time, 9 a.m. That's the game I'm gonna have. As you guys know, my iced coffee game. I have iced coffee, watch the early slate. I don't start drinking beers till the 12 o'clock games come around West Coast time. So I am stoked for this game. I'm stoked for the week, Zooch. You are tell the people before we get off where you are right now, I guess, at the time of this recording. Not where you are recording this, but where you will be as the people can listen to this.
I will probably be at a beach bar in Savannah trying to talk some game up, trying to find Georgia State fans. I am very excited to introduce some people here to Georgia fans. They don't know, as I called them before, the Al Qaeda of college football. A
They are
small,
they are Pandora's box. They were Pandora's box.
they don't, I was at Boise State, Georgia in Atlanta in 2011. I was there. Went for my 17th birthday. They barked. I will never forget sitting next to this Georgia fan in the stand with one of my friends, Hayden from high school. He's just sitting there just talking to us the whole time. And he goes, "You just ain't ready. You ain't ready for the speed
And
of
then
Aaron
what happened on the very first play of the game, and he said something to you?
It was
It was like the one
second or like the second drive, they did like an end around to Brandon
and who
Boykin.
was that
Like
running back?
he would know he played both sides. He was like a corner slash like
Yeah.
receiver, and he did like an end around and just outran everyone. And he did like he didn't like look at me like this. He did the like he's like, "I told you, you ain't gotta
And
be
then
fast to be picking up potatoes." And I was like, "Okay, this might
and
turn
th
bad."
and then what was the scene like? What was the scene like before the last thing before we go off? This has been an amazing show. What was the last thing in that arena, the old Georgia Dome, in the fourth quarter when it became apparent that Mark Richt had just Mark Richt it again?
Oh, they were after him. They hated Aaron Murray. They were considering that Mark Richt cared more about fancy uniforms instead of running the ball.
The Nike Pro Combat.
It was the barking had subsided a little bit, but and I felt bad because we got tickets kinda late, so it was me, my friend Hayden, and my dad just had to sit by himself. He put our tickets together and got one by himself. I don't even know, like, what he did the whole I think he just got a couple beers and probably talked to people about football. He's not he likes college football, but he's not like we are about it. But it was a good night. Got some Whataburger after the game. Georgia fans weren't happy. You know what? Let us play another SEC team. I'm confident.
Let's go. But before we play SEC, we got Georgia Southern. Everyone, their season starts on Saturday. And the good thing about this year, everyone feels like they have a chance. That's a great way to end the show. Thank you. Everyone has a chance. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure you go subscribe to us on YouTube, this channel. Follow us on Settle Down on our Instagram at Settle Down Media, and follow us on TikTok. If you have TikTok, really means a lot when you guys view this stuff, whether it be listening to the podcast or viewing the clips. So please show your love, subscribe. It really means a lot to us. This is why it's part of the reason why we do it. We do this because we love it, but we also do it because we know other people love it too. With that, Zooch, got anything else?
Go and join. It should be up tomorrow, I want to say. We're gonna do a weekly confidence uh challenge.
Yes,
So
a
you'll see
weekly
the link.
confidence challenge will be released around the same time as this is being released.
Yep.
So
Make
either
sure you
today,
go into
Friday, or tomorrow, Saturday is when we will have that released. More
yeah,
information will be on our Instagram.
yep. Go make sure it's gonna be a weekly thing. So make sure every week you're making your pick so you get the points necessary. It's pretty simple. Go in, whatever team you'll go to the matchups that ESPN has for that week. Whatever team you're the most confident in winning, you give them 10 points. Whatever team you're the least confident in winning, you give them 1 point. And at the end of the season, we will buy you a sweatshirt because it's going to be cold by that time of whoever your favorite
Sweatshirt,
team.
t-shirt, yeah. We'll get you a shirt. Get get signed up for that. It's gonna be an amazing time. And with that, we bid you adieu. Enjoy week one, everyone, and we will see you next week to recap.